It's Martin Luther King Day, Monday, January 17. Coming up live on The View. Kick back with the hottest topics on TV. From whether Golden Globes host Ricky Gervais crossed the line last night.
I feel bad about that joke.
To President Reagan's son claiming his dad had Alzheimer's during the first term in office. Plus, on the Red, White, and View, New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand just got back from Congresswoman Gabrielle Gifford's bedside, and she's telling you how she's recovering and her problem with Sarah Palin's statement on the tragedy in Tucson. Then, heir to Larry King's throne, Piers Morgan's revealing he's bringing his outrageously wicked ways to his big celebrity interviews, and why Madonna is banned for life from his show. And Star Trek's Lieutenant Uhura, Nichelle Nichols, is beaming you back to when she broke racial boundaries on TV. And the conversation with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that made her boldly go where no black woman had gone before. All that, hot topics, and more, coming up live on The View.
Make us feel warm. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day to commemorate and celebrate the life of this great man today. And we've got a jam-packed day of hot topics live. I mean, well, the guests are live, and the rest of us are too. Joy is back.
I'm back live, also live, yes.
Yeah, you're going to be... We did.
Shockingly, yes, I missed you so much.
Yeah, I love you.
I can't believe you talked about Sarah Palin the whole week and I wasn't here.
I know.
How did I miss that?
We had your voice running through our head, though.
But I wouldn't have blamed her. I'm just saying, to catch up, I wouldn't blame her for that, because then you'd have to blame me, because I also have a big mouth like she does. So I would take her side in that case.
We don't blame you.
Because everybody who was a public speaker can get into trouble with some nut job out there, you know what I mean?
Right.
We're going to be talking to Senator Kirsten Gillibrand in a little while, who was with Gabrielle Gifford when she opened her eyes. So that's our part. But we have so much. It was a very busy weekend. It was a big football weekend.
I know, this was. I mean, I am, first of all, very upset about the Seahawks loss yesterday.
They did against the Bears.
Against the Bears, which I know you did a little trip there. But it's, and then the Jets, huge upset. Taking down the dynasty of the Patriots, and Tom Beautiful Brady, as they call him, is now out of the playoffs.
The Jets was the number 6 seed, and the Patriots was the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Jets were talking a lot of mess, but the mess talking, they came through.
It did.
Oh, my goodness.
Rex came with the vengeance, so it was a big football day.
Did I say where Whoopi was?
No,
I didn't. Yeah, Whoopi's away. Whoopi will be away all week. Whoopi is on a Disney cruise, where it's nice and warm.
Yes.
Well, among the things that happened, the stars came out last night for the 68th Annual Golden Globe Awards. And the host, Ricky Gervais, well, a lot of people think he went too far. He was funny, but a lot of people think he may have crossed the line. If you didn't see it, here's a little bit.
It was a big year for 3D movies. Toy Story, Despicable Me, Tron. Seems like everything this year was three-dimensional. Except the characters in The Tourist. I feel bad about that joke. No, I'll tell you why. I'm jumping on the bandwagon, because I haven't even seen The Tourist. Who has? But no. There were a lot of big films that didn't get nominated this year. Nothing for Sex and the City 2. No, I was sure the Golden Globe for special effects would go to the team that airbrushed that poster. Well, great job. Girls, we know how old you are. I saw one of you in an episode of Bonanza. Also not nominated, I Love You, Philip Morris, Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor, 2 heterosexual actors pretending to be gay. So the complete opposite of some famous Scientologists, then.
Okay.
That was an injured crowd after.
Too far,
Maybe.
too funny, too...
You know, the problem with that is you sit there and you laugh until he gets on you. Then you're like, ha, ha, wait a minute.
That's exactly true.
That's a problem. problem when
you saw Chris North, who played
Mr. Big.
You know, Mr. Big, going,
Yeah.
Well, they, you know, talking about the women being airbrushed, they could say the same thing for us, couldn't they? You have to take a joke. These people have to take a joke. The tourists, nobody went to see the tourists, so that's true. And it's funny. So let's just say it, okay? And he's great. Gervais is hilarious.
He is hilarious.
But you know,
He is
they say
endearing.
he disappeared for like an hour, and at the end, and they were saying that it was a rumor that, you know, they might have been talking to him backstage, and it's like, you know, they hired him last year. He kind of did the same thing. So it's like, you know, when they hire you, Joy Behar, and then they go, but don't do what you do.
Yeah.
Well, one time I had to work for Orthodox Jews, and the rabbi was in the room and everything. I mean, really serious Jewish people. These are like the real conservative, not Christian, Jewish. Could be Christian, too. It could, you know, very religious. And the minute I got up there, the rabbi wanted to strangle me, I think, because...
They hired you.
But why did you hire me? And they wanted to withhold the check, but I didn't. I said, please, you hired me. I did my 15 minutes, even though I was awful.
But, you know, you had Robert Downey Jr. You know, he made comments, and I don't know if the crowd was quite comfortable with the comments he was making, because we don't have a clip of Robert Downey Jr. So Robert Downey Jr., he got up and he said, aside from, you know, because he made a comment about, you know, you might know Robert Downey Jr. from this and this, but you may know him from the Betty Ford Center and prison. And Robert Downey Jr. said, you know, aside from the mean-spiritedness with its sinister undertones, we're having a great night. So I don't know if a lot of people appreciate it.
He brought out Bruce Willis saying it's Ashton Kutcher's father.
Yeah.
Okay, but there were...
That's hilarious.
Come on, there were several very nice moments, but one of them was when Michael Douglas appeared with a standing ovation and said, you know, he said there's got to be an easier way to get a standing ovation, but we were very happy to see him back.
He looks good.
Yeah, he does.
Wow, what a comeback.
So, I mean, not only this was last night, but Saturday was a Miss America contest, and our Joy was a joy as a judge. And we have with us today, I think for her first appearance since last night, the winner, the new Miss America. Here she is, Miss America, Teresa Scanlon. Please welcome her. Teresa, only 17 to 18.
I've got Brazil's home older than this girl.
The first thing I wanted to know when I watched Saturday Night is how do you keep that crown on? As you were crying
lots of pins, bobby pins, clippies, all sorts of things. I didn't. That would be too uncomfortable, so I took it off for a couple hours.
We have a little bit of your what you did. You played the piano for your talent contest.
Chopsticks, but she played chopsticks.
Yeah, not like how I play chopsticks.
With style,
you play chopsticks.
Wow.
And in the Bacchus ball gown. Were you worried that the judges would think you were too young?
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. I know that when I came into that interview and questions started coming about the age, I started getting the feeling that they thought the job was too big for me. And so I think from then on, my goal each night was to prove that that wasn't the case. And so I hope I accomplished that.
You can do this and continue with your education, apparently, right? And be able to fulfill all duties. That's great.
Yes, I'm taking the year off of school and heading to college next year. I just graduated from high school, and so then I'll be headed to Virginia to go to college. So.
That's great.
All right, so you got
She's very poised for a young girl. You have to give it to
absolutely.
her. She's very smart. She's poised. She has tremendous talent. She looks beautiful in the bathing suit and the gowns. You know, it really is a tough competition. You have to be good at so many things. And she did it. So what's the difference if she's 17?
Well, I mean, you proved it to them. Like you said,
in a month.
You came out every time and you proved to them that, you know, age does not matter. But what I want to know is they have all this stuff, the little insider stuff that they do, the Vaseline on the teeth for the lipstick. They lift up the boobs with the tape. Is that all true, that stuff that you have to do?
You know, not so much, actually. I don't have anything that I really do. I've never put duct tape on my body other than making clothes out of duct tape. I did that quite a bit in high school, actually.
Well, girl, you're 17. It ain't started hanging yet. You give yourself... Thank goodness.
You know, I don't really do any of those things. Most of the girls don't, really.
So do you have any insider tips on how you look your best when you have to go out there for that moment?
No, honestly, I really hadn't been wearing makeup for that long. You know, I haven't been wearing it for that many years. So that was a big deal, was how to learn to put my makeup on, how to do my hair. Of course, we're sponsored by Artistry Cosmetics, and so they help quite a bit with that. And now my wardrobe's sponsored by Joseph Ribkoff. We have DSW shoes. Yes. Everything's taken care of.
Say that again, so... I muffled your line.
What's that?
You gave the credits. You want to do them again?
Oh, yes. Joseph Ribkoff, DSW, and Artistry. Yeah. And those three are fantastic, and so it was kind of a learning process for me.
You have to know that this pageant gives a lot of money and scholarships to these girls. That's one of the main motivations to be in the pageant.
Your parents must be thrilled.
Oh, absolutely. My parents had two major reasons that they wanted me to compete in pageants, and that was for the scholarships. I have 7 years of college ahead of me as I want to be an attorney, and so that's huge. That's quite a debt that could be there. And then, of course, you can't be married for the entire time you're competing, and I was planning on competing until I was 24. So that was their security that I wouldn't get married until I was 25.
You are very beautiful and obviously very poised and smart, Teresa Scanlon, Miss America. We're very happy to have you. We'll be right back with more. Raised? Well, Amy Chow, who is Chinese, is the author of a book, Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother, which claims that Chinese mothers are superior parents because of the strict way that they raise their kids. For example, no sleepovers, no play dates. They have to be in the school play. Can't watch TV or play computer games. They can't get any grade less than an A. They have to be the #1 student. At one time, a 4-year-old gave her a Mother's Day card, and she said, "That's not good enough. Do it over." People have been furious with her. She says this is a memoir, not a parenting book, but nevertheless, what do you think?
It's interesting because we're kind of in this world of like good job. Like I think I say good job to my kids so many times, even if they don't do a good job, or even if they don't even know what a good job is, I say it so often. And I think one of the things in her memoir that stuck out to me in the parts that I've read thus far is that she said that in their culture, they assume strength in the child, and we in the Western world assume weakness. And so I think that's just that philosophical difference.
By the way, she said the kids could not be in the school play. Yeah.
But you know,
so are you raising your kids that way?
No, I mean, on Monday I'm Eastern, on Tuesday I'm Western. I have no idea what I'm doing. I really don't.
But I think, like, she doesn't let her kids have any extracurricular activities except playing the violin and piano. And to me, extracurricular activities and sleepovers, because they couldn't do that, they're not a privilege. They're not a right, excuse me. They are a privilege. I'm not going to criticize her because her kids they're very successful.
Well, one of them
rebelled.
rebelled.
And that's what she wrote about in her book. She said that she would have given them more choices now that she looked back on it. But we weren't allowed to do, my parents were very strict. We couldn't do sleepovers.
I didn't do sleepovers.
We couldn't join anything after school. We had to come home. We had to practice.
You rebelled all over the place.
I rebelled, but I think my parents can still say I'm really proud of who she is, even though I did go through that.
They're going to be the smartest kids in therapy, I think. You know, because they are going to be crazy.
You know what's interesting, though?
The father is not Chinese, and the arguments at home must have been wonderful. When Daddy, Mommy's big, listen to what your mother.
The father was a little more lenient.
Yeah,
well, you got to have one to balance the other.
There's a golden mean. You know, you don't have to do to one extreme or the other.
It's interesting
There is something in the middle.
But she says that's their culture. That's the Asian culture. To do that, so you can't criticize a whole culture and say, you know, ours is the right way.
I think it comes out of fear sometimes, that type of upbringing.
I think
because
it's also about
afraid their kids, they're immigrant children, they're never going to make it.
I don't think
you
so.
know, in this society.
I think it's about where they find joy. She said they find joy in perfecting something or excelling at something, and yet we find joy in the hopes that maybe we'll be okay at something.
But you know, the pendulum swings. There was a time when it was all strictness, you know, in our grandparents' age. Then there was a time when it was so permissive. Now it's the time, like you say, I don't know what to do.
Well, we coddle kids, even in sports. Even in sports, everybody's got to get an award because everybody did a good job. You know, it's about the self-esteem.
You have these 5 kids on a team that rot. They're not good. You know what I mean? Like, you're either really good or really bad, and you have a bunch in between.
What's wrong with playing? What's wrong with pajama parties? What's wrong with that?
A sleepover? That's kept me out of a lot of trouble.
Growing up, isn't it? What is this, slavery now? I mean, come on.
Well, according to her, it's not slavery, it's parenting. Anyway.
She's a nut.
No, she's not.
This is a cultural difference. I don't think she's a nut.
Because she disagrees with you. You know, there are a few people who think that you're a fruitcake.
I know that. That's okay. You mean Snooki? You're talking about Snooki now?
Right now, we're going to come back with what a transition with a woman who is very much respected. That is Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and she was with Representative Gifford when the congresswoman opened her eyes. So we want to talk to her. We'll be right back.
We love her.
Clinton was appointed Secretary of State, her Senate seat was filled by Kirsten Gillibrand, who quickly distinguished herself. She was instrumental in passing the 9/11 First Responders Bill and repealing the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. But you may have been reading more about it recently because her personal life was touched deeply by the recent tragedy in Tucson. And the senator just left the bedside of her dear friend, Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. Please welcome the junior senator of New York, Kirsten Gillibrand. I should also mention in passing that you are the mother of a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old, whom you're bringing up perfectly, right?
Well, yes, they're wonderful children. And Henry's the 2-year-old and Theo is the 7-year-old. And they're love trains, they love trucks, anything with wheels.
Do you feel like, I mean, traveling back and forth to the district, I mean, is that impossible to just keep on top of their schedules and everything? How do you?
Well, we try to keep it as normal as possible. Okay. So my schedule is a little different during the week. Sure. I really try to bring them to school every morning, pick them up in the evening, read them their books, give them their baths, and put them to bed. So
let's talk about the Congresswoman, because you were with her when she opened her eyes for the first time. Tell us about that, and also bring us up to date. How is she doing?
Well, she's doing great, and she makes so much progress every day. I just talked to her husband, Mark, a couple nights ago, and she's really doing wonderful. And I think her courage and her strength is really inspiring the whole country.
Did she recognize her husband yet?
Yes, absolutely. She understands what's going on around her. When we were there in the hospital room, we were there with her mother, her father, her husband, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Speaker Pelosi, and she knew what was going on. She was holding my hand, and we were talking to her.
You were
she did, and she was squeezing when we were talking about the fun things we wanted to do as soon as she got better. And you know, when she heard our voices, and we were there telling about what and I told her that she was inspiring the world with her strength, and I wanted to give her the understanding that her courage mattered. And
how do you know she knew?
Because she squeezed my hand every time I said something positive and wonderful about her. She could respond, and so when we
can't speak.
Not yet, but she will. Yeah, I know. And we just have to keep praying. When I was speaking to her, she began to flutter her eyes, and that's what her husband nearly leaped across the bed, and he just looked at her and said, Gabby, open your eyes, and then she opened her eyes, and then he said, can you see me, and he literally was just willing her across the finish line. He was just saying, his love for her is just extraordinary, and that's what makes them such a beautiful couple, because they love each other so much. And he's incredible. I mean, he's an astronaut. He's going to lead the next space shuttle. He's not only brilliant and interesting, but he truly loves Gabby, and that love was so ever present in that room.
It's so important to recovery. I mean, we hear so many stories like that. This was a tricky incident because it became incredibly politicized and controversial. Last week, Sarah Palin defended herself against the false accusations linking her somehow to the Tucson killer. She used the term anti-Semitic slur, blood libel. What are your thoughts on her comments? I mean, certainly she had a right to say defend herself, but should she have gone that far?
Well, I don't think the comments were helpful, and I think they were inappropriate. Yeah. But that being said, this is a call to action for all of us as leaders, for her, for me, for everyone who represents different constituents in America. We have to be better than we are. And I loved what President Obama said in his speech in Tucson. He said, we have to live up to the aspirations, the expectations of our children. Absolutely. And he used Christina Green's life as a metaphor for all of our nation's children. And I think that was so important. So it's an opportunity for all of us to bring each other together so we can get to the tough issues.
I understand that at the State of the Union address, you are pushing for bipartisan seating.
Yes.
So that, usually you have the Republicans on one side and the Democrats on the other.
Fantastic idea.
And it's a visual cue for bipartisanship. Are they going to go for it, do you think?
Yes. Many of us, we're just going to do it. We're just going to go down and sit where we want to sit. We're just going to do it.
When they say, you're in my seat, get out of my seat.
There's no seats. First of all, everyone can sit where they want. So it's just tradition.
The Democrats are going to sit in the Republicans.
So we're just going to go down the aisle, and instead of me going left, I'm going to go right. Instead of them going right, they're going to go left. So a lot of us are going to do it. And it's just an image. It's a symbol of what is possible. And for all the things we've been working on, bipartisanship really does matter. When we were able to finally get the 9/11 health bill done, that was because it was a bipartisan effort. Don't ask, don't tell.
You know what?
Bipartisan
You're still going to have voices, radical voices from the left and the right. That doesn't mean that Congress has to be like that.
That's what the
American people don't want that. We can shoot our mouths off in the press. That's not your job, in my opinion. The American people want results.
Exactly.
So get to work, all of you out there.
Exactly.
Let Sarah Palin say what she wants.
Run for office.
I would like to one of these days. I'm too old.
I'll help you. I'll help you. You are not too old.
Well, speaking of election, in 2012, I know that you're planning on running, again, re-election. What are your main issues?
Well, we have to work on the economy. The biggest issue right now, when I travel in New York, every family I talk to, every small business owner, people are struggling, and we have a 10% unemployment rate, and that means that far more people are out of work, because when the real unemployment rate's at 10%, it means, when the stated unemployment's at 10%, real unemployment's higher. You're talking about families who can't, do the things they need to do for their children, whether it's education or healthcare. So we have to create those jobs. We've got to get money into small businesses, tax cuts for small businesses. That's the number one issue. But there's other issues. I also want to work on marriage equality. I want to make sure that everyone in this country can be married to the people they love.
I want to change it up a little bit. November, Vogue did a feature issue on you. They did a spread. You looked fantastic. So I have to say, did it bother you at all when Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid said you were the hottest member in Congress?
No.
Did it bother you?
He's the hottest member in Congress.
He was trying to be sweet. He was trying to be nice and funny, actually. But Harry Reid's an extraordinary man, and he really helped in both the 9/11 bill and Don't Ask, Don't Tell. In the 9/11 bill, he helped bring the senior Republicans to the room to negotiate, to bring us over the finish line, as did Senator Schumer. He was an extraordinary closer in that issue. And on Don't Ask, Don't Tell, it was Harry Reid who very early on wrote a letter to the president and said, we want you to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And that really set us up for the president put it in his State of Union address. It allowed for, Chairman Levin agreed immediately to hold a hearing. And so we were able to create the testimony and the record to repeal that very corrosive policy.
But looking at you, you are pretty hot. But also, and this is coming from a
And so are you.
Lesbian alert.
But also everyone, people can see why you are filling the Secretary of State. Filling the Secretary of State seat, and why you are running again. You and I go back a long way now, and I'm very proud of you.
Barbara was one of the nicest people to me. When I was first appointed, she invited me to her home, and she had this beautiful dinner party of all these fabulous friends of hers, and it was one of the kindest, sweetest things anybody did at that time, when most people had no idea
So I'm totally responsible for her. If you're a Republican, don't be mad at me. Our thanks to Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Thank you for being with us today. Our prayers are with your colleague.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll
Please
be
all
right
pray for
back
her.
with a very controversial Piers Morgan.
People with his signature warmth and friendliness, Larry King hung up his suspenders, but his time slot is being taken over by a man who's being called ruthless, evil, and nasty. Please welcome Piers Morgan. I never called you nasty.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Nice to meet you. I'm just kissing the lady. Excuse me. Nice
evil,
to meet you.
ruthless, and nasty.
And by the way, you're going to be on our radio show.
Never mind all this. This is my heroine. Barbara Walters is my heroine. Seriously, the best interviewer I have ever seen. In the world, bar none. So if I can live up to anything like Barbara, I'll be happy.
And this is historic because you rarely see anything that nice.
I'm trying not to be evil, obviously.
You're on our radio show tonight, Bill Getty.
Yes.
You've got me all day, Barbara.
Sirius Radio tonight. You want to know it is actually what time with you, Bill and Gil? Yes, you and Bill Getty, 6 o'clock today, Sirius Radio, and I'm going to remind you all later on.
Moving right along.
I'm your tool today, Barbara.
We're going to try to figure you out today because we know you from America's Got Talent as one of the judges, and we know you as you were victorious in Celebrity Apprentice. But Donald Trump even called your work ethic evil. So now you're replacing Larry King.
Can a work ethic ever be evil? I mean, come on. I mean, look at Barbara's work ethic.
Not evil at all.
Leave me out of this whole thing.
So, in replacing Larry King, why do you think CNN wanted...
Well, look, they're not going to be hiring Mother Teresa. I mean, obviously, I'm going to bring a little bit of, I don't know, juice to the bone. That's how we would describe it in Britain. You know, jazz things up a bit, have a bit of fun, right?
And you do.
Right?
But I think many appreciate your honesty. We're quite honest.
We talked about how Gervais is a nasty thing. Now we're saying you're a nasty thing. There's a whole country like that?
Yeah, but Ricky Gervais was just having fun.
He was.
I know, but he's funny, but he's mean.
No, he's not. It's like inviting a shark to a dinner party. When it eats everyone goes, well, why did that happen?
Sort of desire
You
now.
get what you pay for. I watched it laughing my head off last night.
And he's going to be one of your guests. Yeah. But there is
We've got him for an exclusive interview on CNN on my new show this week. And the first question will be, Ricky, what happened to you in the second half of that show? Who beat you up? Where did they keep you?
Do you think they gave him a talking to?
Let's
I don't
talk
know what
about.
happened.
I mean, people seem these days on television to like a little fire. But let's talk about a lot of fire. Your show's going to be very different from Larry's. First of all, you're not live most nights. You're going to be on tape. You're doing a one-person interview. You have said that Larry never did homework. You're going to do homework. You're not going to...
You're making me out to be critical of Larry. I thought Larry...
I'm telling you what you said.
Larry's very different to me in the sense that he didn't believe in doing overly preparation stuff. He believed in just going in and winging the interviews, which worked brilliantly for him. I, being a journalist by training, I like to do what you do, which is do lots of preparation.
But you also, Larry was a safe place. A lot of politicians came on because he wasn't going to put them on the spot. You like to put everybody on the spot if you can. Do you think that people are going to come on with you?
I think they're going to like it. I mean, I had Condoleezza Rice on, who's on Wednesday night. And I was told you've got to be very careful with Condoleezza. You know, you've got to be very serious. You can't have fun with her.
Show. We had fun.
I watched her on your show. And I thought,
great time.
this is nonsense. So she came on, and we did a couple of serious segments, and then I cut to the quick. I said, Dr. Rice, in my experience, you were the most eligible bachelor lady in Washington history, and you've never got married. I said, if hypothetically I was to seduce you, how would I do that? And here's a funny thing. She burst out laughing and then began to tell me. Exactly. And for any of the guys out there wondering how you would go about this, it involves fried chicken, a lot of gumbo, and a lot of football. She's a perfect woman.
She loves her
But wait a
football.
minute. You are interviewing a lot of celebrities. One of the people that you are interviewing is our own Barbara Walters.
Indeed,
now, you said you have predicted that you are going to make Barbara cry. Barbara does not cry, so I want to know what the heck are you going to do to make Barbara cry?
She and I both know exactly how I'm going to do this.
No, I don't know.
A kettle cry.
Yes, you do.
Barbara, what do you think of that? That he is saying he's going to make you cry. What are your thoughts?
I don't think he's going to make me cry, but if I were going to cry, you can be very sure I won't now.
I love it.
Oh, yes, you will.
And we'll have to wonder if anyone else does cry. I know that
Why would you want to?
Because that's what you do to everybody else, so I'm going to return the favour. That's why.
It's a courtesy, he's saying.
It's a professional tribute to the master.
Tonight you actually interview Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
We have a clip of that.
Great. What advice would you give Michael Vick?
What advice? Well, you know, I really don't want to talk about Michael Vick because I'm trying to interview him.
Oh, really?
So
I love that honesty about you.
I will just save all my advice for when I sit down with him.
Yeah, but hang on.
You're trying to interview him.
I'm trying to get him as well.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get him too. So
one of us is going to win.
one of us is.
You want a little wager?
No. No.
100 British pounds says I get Vic before you.
100.
100. You can afford it.
Make it 2.
200.
Make it 2.
You're done.
You will lose.
Now, what if we double down on that?
Yes, you will.
I appreciate your ego.
By the way, if Michael Vick is watching this, come on.
If Michael Vick is watching this, he knows that Whoopi defended him first on this show.
On this show, the first time that anybody tried to explain why he did what he did and to defend him was Whoopi Goldberg. If anybody's going to come on this show, Michael Vick, we hope you'll come on with Whoopi. Thank you so much.
You did. And that is why she's the best in the business.
And if we get him, he'll cry.
Piers, let me show you a picture that we found of you at some Burger King.
Look at
What is this?
Look at that.
Can I just say that...
Calm down, ladies. Calm down. Let's have a bit of heat here.
If you're ever going to be half naked, don't sit in front of a fire. You know what I mean? Do you ever hear the song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire? I think you should stay away from fireplaces.
Listen,
Judging by the reaction from the ladies in the audience, that picture actually has gone down rather well.
Yeah, you should try it tonight.
Your modesty is overwhelming.
We always appreciate a confident man. I always love how you're so honest, too. We're brutally honest.
I get the feeling you're on my side here.
Yeah, I think we're
against these slightly more.
I'm always on the ladies' side here.
I said you're going to be a big success.
Thank you, Barbara. And actually, I know you meant that. I really appreciated that. Thank you.
But now, I mean, some of your opinions, like, for instance, Madonna. I know you can't stand her. Tell us a little bit why, and then also, who else is on your not like list?
Irritating.
Why?
You know?
What? Everybody loves Madonna.
Seriously, I just cannot stomach the thought of an hour with Madonna, so she's had to be banned from the show.
Do you like her British accent, Madonna?
No, it's the fake British accent.
Right.
It's when Madonna starts talking like that, you know? Like, I'm a Londoner. No, you're not, love. You're not a Londoner. No? So she's banned from my show.
Well,
that's it.
Pick on a Brit. Pick on a
No, the other one who's banned. The other one who's banned is a Brit. It's Heather Mills McCartney, because I actually.
Oh, she's an easy target.
No, but here's what you don't know. I introduced Heather Mills McCartney to Paul McCartney. A decision that, as he put it to me, cost him $50 million. so that's why she's had to be banned.
Well, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
And thanks for being here. We enjoy your company.
One of the biggest thrills of my life doing this show. It's one of my favourite shows.
That's right.
Seriously.
Wish we could say the same here. Tonight, Barbara and Bill Getty will be interviewing Piers Morgan on their radio show tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern on Sirius Stars 102. Don't miss it. His show, Piers Morgan Tonight, premieres this evening on CNN. We'll be right back with Star Trek's Nichelle Nichols.
Is the perfect guest for Martin Luther King Day. She was a TV trailblazer who broke racial boundaries as Lieutenant Uhura on the classic show Star Trek, a role she stuck with thanks to a conversation with Dr. King himself. Please welcome Nichelle Nichols. So excited to have you here. It is, I mean, in 1966, you were the first woman on TV to play a major role. You weren't playing a maid. You were playing a lieutenant in Star Trek.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Can you tell us just how this came about, how you got the role?
Well, Gene Roddenberry had given me my first guest star billing shot in a series he had called The Lieutenant.
Yes.
3 years later, I'm traveling around the world. I was a singer. I grew up in musical theater, so I'm doing all of that stuff. And in the meantime, I was out of the country, and they were doing something called Star Trek. And they were ready to shoot, and Gene called my agent and said, "Find Nichelle. I want her on the command crew." And so my agent called me, and I said, "I'm not coming back. I'm having too much fun. What's a Star Trek?" I didn't know it was Gene. He said, "There'll be a first-class round-trip ticket at the airport for you. If you don't get this role, you can be back where you are within a week.
Right.
If you do get the role, I want my cotton-picking money, back."
But weren't you auditioning also for Mr. Spock? They said that you...
Well, when I came back, there was the chief communications officer,
that role.
but they had no script. And so when I went in, they had me read for somebody. There was a three characters scene. Somebody named Kirk,
Yes.
Somebody named Bones and somebody named Spock. And they said, would you read for Spock? And I went, oh, yeah, this looks so good. And so I said, well, tell me something about this character. What is she like?
Yes.
And they said, look, where have you been? Don't you know anything about this show? And I said, no, I've been in Europe. And they said, well, Spock is not a woman, it's a man. Right. Yeah. And somebody says, and he's got green blood and pointed ears. And I went, okay, tell me something about the personality. And I went after it like I was going, as though it were a woman. I said, well, could it be a woman? He said, yes, but I don't think Leonard Nimoy would like it.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the controversy, because in those days, and this is for a show called Pioneers in Television, it was very rare to have a black person on, especially a black woman. You had already been fired from the show earlier because you were black. That was one of the main reasons. And supposedly you were going to leave, but...
I wasn't fired. They tried to. But Gene fought it all the way.
Okay, but it wasn't an easy decision.
It wasn't an easy decision.
We had heard that you were thinking of leaving.
Oh, it very definitely was. But it wasn't because of that. It was because I was getting offers, and my biggest dream was Broadway.
Okay, but who was it?
I told Gene I was leaving the show.
And who was it who talked you into staying?
Well, he asked me to take the weekend and think about it.
What I'm getting at is that Martin Luther King.
That's what I was going to say.
Great.
I went to this event the next night on a Saturday, and the promoter came and said, Miss Nichols, there's someone who wants to meet you. He says he is your greatest fan. And I said, oh, and I'm thinking a little trekker, you know, this might be there. And I turned and looked, and there's the face of Martin Luther King, smiling at me, laughing, walking up to me, and he said, yes, Miss Nichols, I am your greatest fan.
Oh, wonderful.
And I was bowled over, you know.
And he said what about the show?
He said such nice things about the manner in which I created the role, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, thank you so much, Dr. King. I'm told Gene, and I'm going to miss my co-stars. And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I told Gene I'm leaving the show. He said, you absolutely cannot. And what are you talking about, Dr. Martin Luther King? No, I really didn't say that. I just stood there. And he said, you have the first non-stereotypical role in television. This is not, it's not a maid's role. It's not a menial role.
Right.
And besides, you're fourth in command. You're chief communications officer. This is something that is the reason that we are walking, we are marching.
A man of vision. A man of vision.
That man put us in the 23rd century. It means it's a fact, and it starts now.
Yes. And thank you for that, because Whoopi Goldberg said you were one of her inspirations for continuing. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Nichelle, thank you so much for being here. We want to thank Nichelle Nichols, Pioneers of Television, premieres tomorrow night on PBS. Check your local listings. We're going to be right back.
Know that Nichelle is the executive producer of a new film called Omaha Street, where you play a senator. We're excited about that.
And we hope you will all celebrate Martin Luther King Day and take a little time to enjoy The View.